Well, Katie, just for a bit of reference, I'm about a mile away from the Rock River, which is the one that overflowed last night. And even still, you can see signs of the devastation around here, because behind me, in case you couldn't tell, this is actually the Rock Valley Sports Complex. And this right here, that's a softball field. You can see the bright yellow lines. Those are the outfield fences. Those are typically about 3 or 4 feet tall. So we're still getting that much water here about a mile away from the river. Now, currently, there is one issue in regards to the location of the new LEC building that Woodbury County and Sioux City officials are working to address, and that's that since this is in a rural area and not in downtown Sioux City, there's far less options around that offer public transportation. Meaning that people who are appearing for court dates, recently released inmates, or people in a jury who rely on public transportation will have to walk about 2.5 miles from the new LEC building to the next nearest bus stop located here on Floyd Boulevard. So how did this system work before this new proposal? Well, it all starts at the tax dollars. Those go into the AEA funds that AEAs could then pull from when they need to provide services to schools. This new plan, however, puts a block right here and keeps the money in the district, and then gives the district the option to hire a third-party provider for those same services to give to their schools. Alex Kaiser is a recent graduate of the Midwest Welding Academy in Sioux City. He, like many others across the nation, chose the trades over a traditional 4-year college or university.
I was a really big trades kid in high school. I did a lot of trades work, and it's just something I enjoy doing. I like working with my hands, and it's just easier for me. I didn't really like school that much, and I figured that going to like a 6-7 month program really worked for me.
Nationwide, more students have shown interest in learning a trade, and trade schools in Siouxland like Northeast Community College in Norfolk have seen growing interest in their programs.
Over the last 3 years, we've seen an increase of students seeking out our programs. We've kind of really maxed out our spaces a little bit, but we're continuing to see where further opportunities are at.
At these schools, students are given resources to pick up a new skill, and they get a chance to learn from experts in the field. Another resource that trade schools offer students is hands-on training while earning their certification, something that's invaluable to the students when searching for employment after graduation.
They take you to a job site and put you to work. I know my first job, we went to Tyson over in Dakota City, and I learned how to do hot works for the first time, how to put on a harness. I had to wear an air monitor. It really taught me a lot about what I need to know and really what I need to do in order to be successful in this field.
Students in the trades can earn their certification in a fraction of the time it would take to get a 4-year degree.
21 months or so.
1 year, 2 semesters.
5 months?
They'll start on a Monday and end on a Friday 6 weeks later.
So they're able to quickly enter the workforce where their services are needed.
I always tell my students if they want a job, there's one there. I've had a couple of calls already for people that are looking for students that will graduate in May, and we're over 2 months out yet.
In 2023, Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen signed into law a ban of abortions after 12 weeks of pregnancy, with exceptions for sexual assault, incest, and if there was a threat to the woman's life. On the Nebraska ballots, voters will decide between 2 diametrically opposed initiative measures that both look to amend the state constitution. If passed, Initiative 434 would amend the Constitution to ban abortions in the 2nd and 3rd trimesters of pregnancy. There would still be exceptions for medical emergencies, incest, and sexual assault. Initiative 439 grants a constitutional right to abortions until fetal viability. Now, fetal viability would be determined by the professional judgment of the patient's treating healthcare practitioner. Nebraska's Secretary of State says that in order to amend the Nebraska Constitution, the total number of yes votes has to equal or exceed 35% of the total number of ballots cast in the Nebraska election. That's in addition to receiving a simple majority of votes in favor of the initiative. Secretary Bob Evnen says that if the initiative doesn't get both, the initiative dies and they start all over again from the petition process. But what does it mean to write a new initiative into the state constitution versus just making a new law? Well, in order to overturn a state statute, you need a simple majority vote by the Nebraska legislature and a governor's signature. But constitutional amendments can only be changed by either a 60% vote in the state legislature and a vote by the people in an election, or with the approval of another initiated constitutional amendment placed on the ballot via a successful petition containing 10% of the state's registered voters. And once the constitutional amendment is in place, the rest of state statutes have to fall in line with that amendment.
All laws have to be consistent with the Constitution of Nebraska. To the extent that a law is in conflict with the Constitution of Nebraska, that law cannot be enforced. So the Constitution of Nebraska is the supreme law of our state, and the laws that are passed by the legislature, the statutes that are passed, have to comply with the requirements of the Constitution.
Now, with two separate initiatives, there is a chance that both get the 50% plus one votes in order to pass. So what happens if both initiative measures get enough votes in order to pass?
If they both win, then you'll take the measure that got the most actual yes votes, the most actual votes for that initiative. And so if they both win, you look for the one that had the most votes, actual votes, cast in favor of it, and that's the one that will go into the Constitution.
Now, in total, 10 states will have votes with abortion laws in the election, but Nebraska is the only one with two competing initiatives.
It was up over the tables out here. We have all the tables cleaned out, but now we're going to start taking all of the sheetrock off the walls, pull the floor up, and start replacing everything.
Scott and Jennifer Schwade are finding the positives in the wake of their Haywarden restaurant flooding in the recent storms.
One of the positive things that throughout this process of having to go through it again is we're going to be able to fix all of the things that we thought were going to work that didn't work. More efficiency, kind of some of the jam ups in here that we have with the employees. We'll be able to do a lot of kind of different configuration on some of the things that will make this more functional for us. A lot of our larger electronics and our grill hood and everything remained unscathed here, which was a blessing.
While they focus on fixing the interior of the restaurant they've owned for a year, outside they've been using their board to share messages with people who are passing by Route 10. Originally intended for new offerings, it now serves as a beacon of hope and positivity for all who pass by.
We use this as an opportunity to provide some hope for the community and dispel any rumors that we're going to pack up and leave. And I think people just need that. You know, they need to see, if there's a sign, here it is, kind of thing. And I think people look for that. They look for somebody else that can see some positive things. And there's so much positivity in this community.
And while they still have a lot of work ahead of them,
Redid all this not even a year ago. We're going to have to redo it all over again.
they continue to spread positivity with their newest message saying, "Count your blessings."
Everybody is so focused on what they've lost that we're trying to really redirect the focus to what do you still have? There's so much that we still have.
We're going to be back, and it's going to be better than ever. And we look at this is Haywarden's drive-in, and not only is it ours, but it's the community's, and we're going to bring this back for the community.
Since the late 1970s, the Lynn A. Hall Center in Sioux City has been the temporary home for people who are incarcerated and helps them get ready to re-enter the community.
This place has been very friendly, very helpful. Without this starting off point, I don't know where I would have been. I just wouldn't have had any place to go. This has given me an opportunity to just become better rounded to get back into society.
The facility hosts 99 residents, and as a part of the facility's program, every resident must find employment, refrain from drug and alcohol use, attend treatment as ordered, and pay monthly rent.
It's taught me how to budget. I never knew anything about a budget till I came here. I know how to save my money now. It prepares you to get into the real world. You get a job, you get used to working every single day.
Residents at the facility have already served a majority of their sentences and can be referred to the facility by the Iowa Department of Justice to serve their final few months working and preparing to transition back to life on the outside.
The time spent in Woodbury County Jail was good because it gives you time to formulate a game plan so you don't continue down the same path you were going. Getting here allows us to put that plan into action.
Compared to their living situations at the jails and prisons they came from, residents say the environment at the facilities is far calmer and more conducive to rehabilitation and re-entry.
There's always people who are on some kind of crazy stuff where it makes the environment uncomfortable because you always got to be on edge. And here, everybody just wants to stay out and go home. It's definitely a breath of fresh air when you come from prison to here.
All of the residents I spoke to had less than 2 months left before they were released, all with their own plans once their day comes.
What is your plan?
Continue to better myself so I don't go down the path that I was.
I'm going to go to a sober living home.
I plan on staying in Sioux City, staying at my job at Seaboard, as long as I can find housing.
I'm going to do the same thing I'm doing now. I'm going to work every day. I'm going to meetings, talk to my sponsor, and going to be a conducive person in society.
South Sioux City High School hosted an alumni soccer tournament this Labor Day weekend where men and women who donned the Cardinals red and white back in their high school days got a chance to dust off the cleats and get back on the field. But there's a chance that none of them would even be here if it wasn't for one teacher who stepped up over 25 years ago. Marla Greer was a speech and language pathologist for South Sioux City Middle School and High School in the 1990s. She would also become the high school's first ever soccer coach.
In 1996, South Sioux City High School was going to offer a soccer program for the boys, and 2 weeks before the season was to start, nobody would coach it. So I said, oh, no, we have to have soccer. I'll coach. And we were off and kicking after that.
Greer would coach the Cardinals for 19 seasons, winning a state title in 2013 and becoming a role model to her players.
I was fresh here from California and I actually got in trouble. I got in a fight and she got me out of class. And she said, like, hey, I heard that you play soccer, you want to play? I said yes, and I joined practice that night. There were a lot of kids that were in trouble. There were a lot of kids that didn't have home support, parental support, so she decided to take that leadership role.
We had a lot of at-risk kids that needed to be involved in school, that really weren't involved, and I was hoping soccer would be the thing that would suck them into school and keep them involved in school, and it worked.
And during the tournament, former players awarded her with a Lifetime Achievement Award for all of her work for the program over the years.
Just to honor her for what she's done in the community. And so all of the players here, we kind of came up with, okay, what would be a good award to give her? And we're just kind of throwing out different names. And they said, well, you know what? It's a Lifetime Achievement Award. With everything she's done, you know, she deserves to have a Lifetime Achievement Award. And that's what we went with, yeah.
Although she retired in 2015, Greer's legacy is still impacting high schoolers today. 5 of the 6 high schools in the Sioux City Metro have soccer teams coached by her former players.
It is so fun to go on a soccer field and see so many of my former players are out there coaching, or they're sitting there cheering their children on, and they're very involved, and that's, to me, worth $1 million.
This former cattle yard in South Sioux City, Nebraska has been the garden for a group of retirees known as the Garden Girlies. Kathy Matthews has been a part of the group since the beginning and says that it started when her friend Diane Bowles was unable to plant her garden. So the group came together just to help her out.
We offered to plant it for her. And it was just a little bitty space right over there. And it just grew from there.
Years later, Voices for Food, a program coordinated through the University of Nebraska, was looking to expand their operation that grew produce for local food banks and approached the Garden Girlies.
Whoa!
Connie Schoenberger says as a group they obliged, and a decade later, every year from spring to first frost, the group has been growing and harvesting thousands of pounds of fresh produce for people in need.
I mean, it's really pretty neat to see the need in our community and then to serve it, you know, and people talk about what it costs in the grocery store. These people have a need and not the money to do it, and when you see them come in and how appreciative they are, it's really wonderful. You know, it really makes you feel good.
And this is what they'll end up with after about a day's worth of work. This is roughly 300 to 400 pounds of produce. And after they're all done, they'll load up and head to town. That produce will be taken directly to food banks ran by Voices for Food to be distributed to almost 100 families throughout Siouxland.
Always a pickup load, and you think, oh, that's too much, it'll never go, but it does. And by the end of the day, usually it's all gone. So it's just amazing.
We take some to the health hub in South Sioux there, and they were dropping off some zucchini, and a little gal came up and said, oh, I'm so glad to see this because last year I was picking food out of the garbage cans. So it's that kind of reception.
Making a difference 1 pound of produce at a time. In South Sioux City, Nebraska, Connor Trett, KTIV News 4.